still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe.
Good morning, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is a live Q&A with me, Steve Wraith, and good to see that Jeff Carter and his alter ego, Jeff Carter, are busy in the chat with questions. If you've got a question for me, pop it in the chat and I will endeavour to answer it. I do need to say good morning to... see the name, Larry Drummond. Good morning, Larry. Larry has been sending emails and wanted to know why I hadn't read any of them out. Well, it was because I didn't have access to the email account, so I've only just come across a couple of them now. But thanks for this, Larry. He just wanted to make a point, really, about Alexander Isak. If I employ a guy to do my garden, I pay him for doing the job. Surely if players employ an agent, they should pay him for doing the job. This would stop all the agents demanding fees, etc. So, always about opinions. Larry, thank you very much for sending that in. If you've got any points that you do want to send in and you can't get them into the chat or you're not social media savvy, nufcmatters1892@gmail.com is where you need to send them to. And don't forget, 2 days to go for subscribing to the fanzine. We had a flurry of them last night, which was nice. nufcmatters.co.uk is where you need to go to. Click on the fanzine link and you can buy your 4 issues for £25. That includes your postage for the rest of the season, and that money will all go to Age UK North Tyneside. So we'd like to hit 100 subscriptions if we could, so please jump on that today or tomorrow. Okay, Jeff and his flurry of questions. Do you find the persistence of negativity amongst fans interesting? Interesting, Jeff? Interesting? Annoying maybe at times, because negativity breeds negativity, and you know, some people do, you know, for want of use of a better expression, I guess the old phrase is twist on 21 if you're talking about pontoon. Yeah, I mean, you know, some people just like to complain. It's human nature. It would be boring if everybody was the same. But when it comes down to Newcastle United, if a fan was simply going down the pub and having a moan with his mates, fine, but social media has changed the whole dynamics now. So basically one person sitting in his box room putting something on a social media platform such as X and saying, you know, such and such a player is this, or I am sick of the owners, get them out, or this manager needs to go, suddenly that becomes a thing, and somebody who puts that post out on their social media account suddenly has 1 million retweets or likes or whatever, and it gets traction. And the bottom line, you know, from that is then that journalists, you know, pick up on it. And you could call it lazy journalism, because ultimately they can then use that as a bit of a, you know, a story. They can say this is how the fans are feeling. No research goes into, you know, who's retweeted it, who sent it, who put the post out. You know, the person could just be a mischievous fan from another club. So persistence of negativity is something which we've got to get used to. There's always been negativity. There's always been boo boys. There's always been a boo boy's favourite. There's always been somebody who we don't like or whatever. That's down to, as I say, football fans and football opinion. But do I find it interesting? I just find it annoying at times, you know, that it gets such a wider, you know, a wider spread these days because of social media. It is interesting. Of course, it's interesting because, you know, this program is based on opinions, and, you know, this platform has got different opinions, and the different panels that we have on, the different people we have on, all have different opinions. And when you hear the fans forum that you're on, Jeff, it's such a wide ranging set of opinions. The fans forum's fascinating if you do it on the same day as the match, after a great result or a bad result. You know, amazing. You know, we're going to win the league if we win a big game, and, you know, suddenly we're going to win the league, we're going to conquer Europe, we're going to do this. If we lose a game, then, you know, the mentality is, well, you know, this is the worst season ever. You know, sack the manager, the players are garbage. It's knee jerk reaction. And, we you know, we're not immune from that on NUFC matters. We can all, you know, we can all say something that we regret at a later date. But yeah, it is interesting, Jeff. It's interesting because the question you've asked us is managed to pull out you know, quite a long-winded answer. So it's got to be interesting because I can answer the question. So there you go, Jeff. These other questions. Would you ever move away from the region? Jeff, I would move away from the country. I would widen that. And that's something I may well still do, Jeff. And there would be sacrifices, of course there would. You know, the sacrifices would be not being close to, you know, friends and family. There would be the sacrifice of, you know, unless I was a millionaire, not being able to watch Newcastle United live, which is obviously one of my favourite things to do, if not the favourite thing to do, on a social scale. And not being able to go and, you know, pop into the local, you know, coffee shops, or go out for a walk around the beautiful countryside and, you know, waterways and that we've got. But what this country is now and what this country stands for is not what I want. And it's only going to get worse, Jeff. And I don't want to politicise this show. I never do. I'm always very careful not to. But this country's a mess, and it's, at the moment, I don't see a way back, Jeff. So for me, I wouldn't say the region. I think if the region was encapsulated in its own little area, on its own little island, let's just say Northumberland, Northumbria, however you want to describe it, was in a little place of its own, and we didn't have to deal with all the noise that goes on elsewhere. You know, that would be perfect, but life isn't perfect. So yes, I would move away from the country. I wouldn't move away from the region. That's probably the best way to answer that question. Given the choice, where would you go on an all expenses cruise? Definitely the Caribbean. I think that's got to be a once in a lifetime place. You know, I think when you get older, you accept that you'll not get to everywhere. You know, it again, you need an unlimited pot of money and, you know, unlimited pot of free time to be able to go and do those kind of things. But I think the Caribbean would be nice for a cruise, and to be able to dot on and off all of those islands. Cruises, from what I've heard from people, are quite busy. They're busy affairs. You need a holiday when you come back from a cruise. And I'm not the gluttonous type, so I see these, you know, people going, you know, backwards and forwards to, you know, endless food and drink supplies and stuff like that. And I'm not a gluttonous person, Jeff. So I'm not somebody who would be, oh, I better get my money's worth. I probably was back in the day, when I was younger. But who isn't when they're younger? You can eat and drink more when you're younger. But nowadays, I do feel as if I wouldn't be probably getting the value for money that other people do. So, but yeah, I'm getting off tangent a little bit. I think, generally speaking, Jeff, the Caribbean for me. Do you a musical instrument? Now that could be, do you own a musical instrument? It could mean, do you play a musical instrument? So I'll answer both, Jeff. Do I own a musical instrument? The answer is no, I don't. And the answer to the question, do I play a musical instrument? The answer is no, I don't. Although my granddad did try to get us to play the piano many times. He said, if you can play the piano, lad, he says, you can walk into a pub and you'll never have to buy a drink. That was definitely the case back in the 50s and 60s, because there was always an old Joanna in the corner. And somebody would get sat down at the old Joanna and tickle the ivories, and everyone would be singing My Old Man's a Dustman and the Bladen Races up in the northeast, and they'd be getting bought, half a pint of McEwen Scotch or whatever it was, and having a good old night. So, yeah, never ever had the patience. Did take guitar lessons briefly, but again, not for me. Acting was my forte and writing was my forte. I wasn't blessed with musical talent, unfortunately. Jeff's alter ego, the Axeman, says, do I have a favourite guitarist yet? Two people play the guitar superbly for me, and I've seen them both live. Well, let's say three. Top three in no particular order. Bruce Foxton from the Jam, obviously great musician and great pro. Angus Young from AC/DC, and Eric Clapton, old slow hand. Morning, John. He says, is it beyond the realms of possibility we sign both Wissa and Strand Larsen? Now that really would be something. I don't think we'll sign them both. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that we sign two more players. Garen Kowal, of course, when we were live on air last night, departed on a permanent deal. And Matt Targett, of course, has gone out and loaned. So there's been, these outgoings have been quite, well, they've been overshadowed really with the incomings. But Newcastle have been doing business quite quickly this week, which is great. I still think Wissa will come, although I do find the fact that he has in essence down tools a bit like Isak, a bit strange that we would go and chase him, but we need him. We need somebody. I think another midfielder has been linked quite heavily over the last couple of days, but I think that was more to do with the fact that Tonali and Joe Linton looked as if they were going to be long-term when they went off against Liverpool. But now it's been confirmed that both are going to be okay. Tonali could be back today. Joe Linton will be okay after the international break. So I do think essentially that, we have a situation where Newcastle will do business if they need to. We've got January as well. We've got January transfer window. You've got to ask yourself, if Newcastle bring Wissa in, have we got a squad that's good enough to go Premier League, Champions League, League Cup up until January? And I think the answer is yes. And ultimately, January then becomes a window where if we need an addition or two, we could probably go and do it financially still. And of course, if we let Alexander Isak go, we're going to have, the books are going to be balanced, if you like. So I think it'll be who comes easier. Lots been made of Strand Larsen and Nick Valdemar being very similar in style and stance and height, and but the difference between Strand Larsen and Valdemar is that Strand Larsen's got a track record, albeit against lower league teams, of scoring goals in the Premier League. He knows the league inside out. So I think it will be interested to see what happens over the next couple of days. But I do expect Wissa. There's been so much noise around it, so many links, so many stories, and the fact that he's down tools, for so long, I can't see Wissa not coming, and I think it'll be done on transfer deadline day. Of course, Brentford needs somebody in, and they'll be working on that, I'm sure, but I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that we'll bring two in, John. I'm just not sure we'll bring another two forwards in, because if we did, and then didn't sell Isak, where does that, what happens then? Does Isak just sit and rot in the reserves? Who knows? Or the under 21s. Leeds away is interesting because it could go either way. It would lay down a great marker if we end up with 3 points. Do we agree? I don't think it lays down a great marker because we should be beating Leeds. Leeds United have just been promoted. Newcastle United are an established Premier League team that's been in Europe twice in the last 3 years and are Carabao Cup holders. So for me, Leeds away is a game you should be winning. I don't think it lays down a marker. I just think ultimately we need to get 3 points today, however we manage to do it. I think Asula is, and I've said it on here, and I know some of you agree and some of you don't agree, but I do not think, I just do not think that Asula is Premier League level at this moment in time. Eddie is very good at coaching people. I think he can. I think he'd be able to coach them to that kind of level if he was given the time and effort, and if he's got the, the inclination to do it. But I think he's a top championship player, Asula, and I expect him to start today, and I expect Asula to score. It's why I've gone 2-0. I'm not cautious about this. I think we will win today. I think Asula will score today. And I think, I think this is the game made for Asula. I do think he'll get the goals that are needed because of the people around him. Because of Barnes, because of Alanga, because of the midfield that we've got, because of, Ramsey playing today. He might well go with Murphy today. Who knows? But there's plenty of people that can service Asula and give him good service today. So I don't think it lays down a great marker. I think it cements a decent opening 3 games. 4 points out of the first 3 games is not bad when you look at the fixtures we've had, but we need 3 points today. That's the way to do it, not a hint. It's going to happen. Then bang, he's in the place to Newcastle, on the plane to Newcastle International, and he thought, yeah, I mean, that is the way to do it. And we've said that on here so many times, haven't we? That, how many of the players that we signed, big name players, did we sign, and nobody had a clue what was going to happen. Tonali, Alexander Isak, and Voldemort. Some people said Voldemort was linked at the start of the window. Barry hasn't sent us his list for the last few weeks, so I've got no idea if Voldemort was on the list. He probably was, but I'd love to know when he was actually, put in, linked, and I'd love to know who linked him. I would love to know who the first person who said Voldemort's on the horizon. How far down the list was he? Who cares? He's a goal scorer. He's 23, fits the remit. Big lump of a lad, and he'll do a job for Newcastle United. But I'm not. I don't really care. Les, thank you as always for doing that. Don't forget as well, if you're watching on Twitter, if you repost it, sorry, that helps us as well because it brings new members of the audience to the chat. But if you want to comment, jump over to YouTube, search NUFC Matters, and just hit the subscribe button. If you hit the subscribe button, you can comment in the chat, and obviously it helps the channel grow. Do you think we'll get hammered in Leeds because the FA fixed it? No, I don't, Jeff. I don't think we'll get hammered today at all. Steve's only in it for the money. Jeff, I'm glad that's your alter ego who's saying that. Just ask the charities who benefited from this channel if I'm in it for the money. I'm fully invested in Big Nick. How about everyone else? Good morning, Alan. You know what, Alan? I am, yeah. I mean, Barry got slated a little bit in the chat last night. I don't condone that. Barry's a great lad and a lovely fella. We've all got opinions, but look, he's a young up and coming striker who scores goals, who's much sought after by our European rivals, and we've managed to nick him off somebody else. That gives you an immense sense of relief and joy that we've managed to do that. It means we're clearly paying bigger wages than the German rivals. But yeah, I'm invested in him, and I hope we get Wisser. It's almost like Toshak and Keegan, Supermac and John Tudor, big man, little man. I think if we can get Wisser as well, I think it's a fantastic summer. It's up there with one of the best in my lifetime, certainly. I don't think it's the best, but it's up there. Any other red wine than the one? Oh, rather than Malverno. Primitivo, mate. Try that. Completely different type of red wine to Malverno. Primitivo, very, very nice. I quite like that, mate. There's a lovely place in Edinburgh if you ever get a chance to go, on Rose Street, which basically gives you, I think it's 25 quid a head. You get 6 glasses of red wine, and you get little, and they give you a big grazing board of food, and on the list of food it tells you what to eat which with wine, so that's well worth going to that place. But yeah, lovely stuff. James, good morning. With one striker through the door and potentially Wisser, maybe the other on the way, this has to be a fantastic window. Yeah, I just mentioned that, didn't I? It is a fantastic window, James. Even if we only get that one striker in and that's all we can do till January. It's been a good window because we've done everything that we needed to do. And yes, okay, we might not have got our first choices through the door as far as a centre forward's concerned. Fate plays a part as well. It might just turn out that we've got the best one of the lot. That's what happened with Isak. We got Isak. Nobody was chasing Isak. We got him, and look what's happened. You know, he's given us just best part of 3 years of great existence. He scored the winner in the cup final, and he's about to make us probably a lot of money. So for me, yes, if we get Wissa in, it's been a fantastic window, James. I can't disagree. Could we still be in for 2 strikers? Craig, it's possible. It is possible. It depends what the owners' thoughts are with Isak. Are they going to make him sit and suffer? Are they thinking, after what you've done, we're going to do this? But I've got to go with what Craig Hope says. I do think that they will sell him now. I think the fact that they've got Voldemort in, and the fact that they've got probably Wissa coming in as well, that I don't think we'll go for another striker. I think they'll happily sit with those two, and they'll look at Gordon and Asula as the backups. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, Asula feature in the Carabao Cup quite heavily. But I think all options are open, because if Wissa says no, they still need another striker, and they may crack on with Larson. I think that's why the doors are still open for both of them, 100%. Morning, Gary. I'm not sure if it's been asked before, but of all the gigs you've been to, which has been your best and which has been your most disappointing? Most disappointing, a couple really. Oasis standing on the shoulder of giants at the arena. Oasis were awful that night. I'm a big Oasis fan. Didn't enjoy it at all. Plus the people who were sitting next to were absolutely mortal and spilling beer all over the place, which doesn't help. But it was a terrible, terrible gig. They were just bad. I'd also say Mark Knopfler at the arena. The arena's not my favourite place. I don't know why on earth I go there for gigs. But yeah, Mark Knopfler at the arena. He had back trouble. And for the entire gig, he kept telling us that he had back trouble. Plus, it was summer. And it was boiling hot in there. And that's like a corrugated iron roof. It feels as if you're like in the prison camp at Tenko. It was awful. It was an awful gig. I was sweating. I was uncomfortable. And, I mean, yeah, it was great to hear Local Hero and, all the songs that you want to hear. But it was just tinged with annoyance because of his bad back. And he was sitting down throughout the whole thing because of his bad back, which is why I kept referencing it. Best gigs. God, I couldn't say one was the best. I'll give you some examples. I mean, Paul McCartney, I bought VIP tickets for that a couple of years ago in London. That was superb, and Ringo came on. I went to see Madonna recently in London again. That was about 2 or 3 years ago. That was superb. That was brilliant. Any Bruce Springsteen gig I've been to, and I've been to 6 in the last 3 years. Absolutely brilliant to see Bruce. And if you're going for smaller scale gigs, the Buzzcocks, I saw them at the Mayfair, but I've saw the Buzzcocks 4 or 5 times, got to meet them as well over the years. And the Sex Pistols at Crystal Palace's football ground, the Pistols at the Palace was a great gig. I was down there. That was just absolutely mental. But yeah, music's a big thing to me, and I've been to a lot of gigs over the years. Rolling Stones at Twickenham was the drummer's last gig before he passed away. And I'd never seen the Stones. I was too young to see them at SJP. So yeah, God, I've been to so many. I count myself very lucky. But you know what? For me, personally, that's what I like doing. Football and music gigs, and a lot of these things I go on my own, Gary. I've got mates who will go to some of these gigs. A lot of people who I knock around with are slightly older than me, so they maybe have either seen them first time around. They don't want to pay the money to go and see these bands. Oasis was great this year. Thoroughly enjoyed the Oasis gig down in Manchester. I've been to see Morrissey in Manchester this year. That was excellent. I've seen Morrissey before, of course. I went to see the Happy Mondays at a festival. That was a great gig this year. And I love supporting local music. Adam Henderson is one to watch out for. Young acoustic lad. He's going to be doing our next NUFC Matters get together. But I'm helping him out with a few people. And Leesers, a local band called Leesers. Well worth going to see them. I've seen them a couple of times now. Colin Walker in the chat had told me about them, so I made a point of getting along to see them, and I'm not disappointed. I'm going to follow them. They're a very good band. We'll probably get them on here at some point. But there you go, mate. Quite a long answer to the question. Did you see Sky Andrew being interviewed on Sky Sports? Steve, Sky Andrew. Who is Sky Andrew, Alan? I might be just having a forgetful moment, but I'm not sure who that is. Hi, Steve. You planning any live events prior to the Champions League home ties roll on Tuesday, and we can focus on the footy? Hi, Gary. No, Gary, I'm not doing events, mate. I'm concentrating on writing and acting. Events really are in the past now. I've done everything that I wanted to do. The only events you'll see me do are for charity. I don't want to be making money out of events now. It's not my chosen path in life. I'm focused on the acting and, just continuing that. I've got a few things in the pipeline which I can't talk about at the moment. But ultimately, events, no, before the match, home and away, I just want to go and see my pals. And a lot of the time, again, away games, I go on my own. It's quite strange, Gary, but I actually enjoy my own company. And I don't like drinking a great deal these days, whereas in the past I did. 18, 19-year-old, I'll be the same as everybody else, having 8 or 9, 10 pints and whatever. But, before a home game, maybe, sometimes I don't drink at all. Other times I'll just have 1 or 2. But I like to watch the match. And a lot of my mates who are, as I say, are slightly younger than me, all want to have a drink before the game. So, they're all heading. Most of my mates are on the train to Leeds now. I'll be there late, but I will catch up with them. But I just enjoy doing what I want to do, and that's just the way I've been, probably for the last 20 years. And I think it's not a bad thing at all, Good morning, Jules. I hope you're well. Good morning, Roger. Good morning, Steve Middlemas. Hope you're well, pal. So sick of every report on Voldemort signing reverts to freeing up Isak's move to Liverpool. Why are the press in general trying to down us all the time, or is it just me? No, I mean, it's just the way they're covering it, isn't it? It's because the Isak story's been the story of the summer, David. And because the transfer window and deadline day are such a huge thing on Sky, they are hoping and praying that it doesn't go through till transfer deadline day. They'll hope it's like a last minute decision or a last minute thing. So that's why they're doing it. It's all about the clicks, mate. It's all about the clicks. Paul Davison, good morning. I've been holding off ordering the fanzine because the early birds got standard ones last season, and the ones that got ordered late got ones signed by legends like Les Ferdinand, etc. Paul, they didn't. I think what you're thinking of is the books that we had, the Entertainers books, Paul. Fanzines have not been signed by anybody and sold signed at all. But the books that we had, the early versions of the books, obviously the book came out in October, November, I think it was. But then we had events in January and February and March, and that is when we got the book signed. So as simple as that, really. Those copies were then sold via our website, etc. So it wasn't the fanzine, mate. So don't worry about that. That won't be happening with the fanzine. Okay, folks. As always, we like to have a quick break. Get me a chance to have a quick drink of water, and we'll be back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickys.co.uk, email info@mrvickys.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. And don't forget the fanzine, NUFC Matters fanzine, 25-26, 4 issues for £25, which includes postage. Get your copy over the next 2 days. Please order your copy. Big thank you to somebody who has just subscribed there. But yeah, all proceeds go to Age UK, North Tyneside Dementia, and we are hoping to hit 100 copies. We're around about 71 now, I think it is. And yeah, we just need your support. And I know there's a few of you last year bought 10 issues to gift to people and stuff like that because you supported Dementia. Feel free to do that if you have the availability, and that will get us to 100. But yeah, we've got 2 days to get that, and then I can give the answer to the printer as to how many we want. But big thank you to everybody who supported it nonetheless. Much appreciated. Okay, let's get back to the questions. Steve, you've clearly had many jobs over the years. Which was your best or most enjoyable? I guess any acting role, Jerry, because that's my passion. I did enjoy doing the doors. If you're looking for a different job, I did that for 18 years, and it was a good earner, and it was an enjoyable job at times. Bit hair raising at times, but yeah. Acting wise, acting job, I'd say the best one was To Be Someone, which was Quadrophenia 2. Ray Burtis was the director, and that was probably the best fun I had because on and off camera it was like one big family. Really, really enjoyed it. Do you think Ramsdale starts today? Neil, I don't. And I think Nick Pope will start. I think Ramsdale's first outing will be against Bradford in the Carabao Cup, unless there's a major problem with Pope. But at the moment, no, I don't think he'll start. Cruz seems to be single-handedly building a Newcastle supporters club in Germany. Do you know if rumours that he's in discussion about a coaching role at Newcastle are true? Not heard that, Les. Not heard that at all, to be honest. Morning, Steve. Do you think Isak is Mike Lowen's 2-0 or worse? I got his agent in his ear, but he's a grown man. I think the way he's went about it is disgusting and cost us 6 points. God, is he Mike Lowen too? Now, he's done a lot more than Mike Lowen did as a player. And at least Isak wanted to come here. Mike Lowen didn't even want to come here. So no, he's above him, to be fair. But let's see how it plays out. He's damaged his legacy. There's no doubt about that. If you could remake an old movie, which one would you remake? I don't agree with remaking old movies, David. Unless they've been bad to start with. But yeah, remaking movies, you should leave it alone. I genuinely think. We know your lack of musical talent, Steve. We've heard you sing. Well, thank you very much, David. Thank you very much. Wolves have signed a striker, and Larson's out of the squad today. Too much of a coincidence for me. Wolves are always going to drive the price up as much as possible, and he's not for sale. They've also let a striker go though, Michael. So for me, I'm not sure whether that means that Larson is coming. I think Larson is unlikely. That's just my opinion, though. Steve says, I've always lived with, it's not what you are, it's who you are that counts first. Don't change that to fit, in my opinion. Very true. Morning, Steve. What is your favourite memory from your association with Newcastle United Football Club? It's got to be signing a contract for the club, being the fans liaison officer, being the very first fan liaison officer in Newcastle United's history. Having a desk at the club, although it took us 2 weeks to get a desk and a chair. That's how badly organised it was behind the scenes. But actually, signing a contract with Newcastle. I was never going to do it as a footballer, but you can't take that away from me. I actually signed a contract with the club and you know, was there under the era of Bobby Robson. So for me, that was my favourite memory. It has to be. Steve doesn't want to hear about Isak anymore, his actions, etc. Which, yeah, I think we're all pretty much the same. We're all sick of that. James says, we needed a striker, Steve, after the Isak debacle. Fans are always going to moan and complain about something, but we need a body, and in this, German lad ticks the boxes. Let's get behind him. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. ME says, the main attraction to him is he actually wants to play for you, unlike a certain Swedish guy. Well, yeah, he does want to play. You're right. Also, Steve, when Voltemada heard that we were interested, he jumped at the opportunity. He wants to be here and play for the club. Isn't that what counts? Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is, James. And yeah, and that's the point that ME's just made as well. Another random red wine recommendation that is amazing and low budget is Fastino, which is a Rioja. Absolutely lovely and about £7 in the supermarkets. Thank you, James. Yeah, it is nice, Primitivo. It is. Malbec's okay. Justinian Brooks on Queen Street. Thanks, Jeff. I like the fans forum, especially the views from our overseas supporters. And Kev, could you not reduce it to 4 so more questions could be discussed without repetition and alternate the 4? Steve, it's not for me to do that. I think we've always gone with that big panel. I think that's why we do smaller panels on the other shows. To be honest, I would be reluctant to do that. And we do have members only discussions, Stephen, which everyone seems to be happy with the amount of people who have on the fans forum. So I've gone with that. But at the moment, I would say that is unlikely, Stephen. It really is unlikely. We always have better success in the market when we look at players on the quiet. And as soon as another club offers 300k, we've got no chance in wages, of course, you mean. Jackson signs for Bayern. They need a replacement after losing out on their pursuit of Voltemada. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they've signed him on loan, haven't it? It's a £13 million loan fee, I think, David. That's how much they've got him for. Just finished reading the fanzine. Great work, great read. Thanks for the kind gesture, James. Good stuff. Hope you enjoyed the fanzine. And obviously the first issue for this one will be out in October for this season. I wouldn't sell him this window. I'd make him wait until January just to make a point that you treat the club with respect. That was about Isak, of course. You need to go to a Coldplay gig, Steve. Absolutely amazing. I did try for tickets. I got tickets for Oasis, but didn't get them for Coldplay. Some people say they're great, and people like Choppy say that they're the most boring band in the world. But I can imagine them being live would be good. James saw Metallica at Leeds Fest, and they were absolutely incredible. Rolling Stones at SJP was immense, says David. Queen at the Toon and Springsteen, says Steve. Has anyone seen Queen live or Freddie Mercury? No, I didn't get an opportunity to do that. Cry Tough is a 1976 album from Nils Lofgren, by the way, says Jeff. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Do you think that if the club believe that Liverpool and co were underhand, Isak, the club will hand over a player, just let him get away? I'm not sure what that means, Steve. To be honest, I mean, I do feel there's been a bit of skullduggery, but I'm not sure Newcastle will be able to pursue it. Oh, Sky Andrews, an agent. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I retweeted it last night. Yeah, I did. I retweeted it last night, Alan. So, yeah, I've already seen that, mate. I was thinking you were thinking it was somebody in our chat or something like that. And they were on Sky talking about Newcastle. But I did see that guy, yeah. He was on point as well, yes. I doubt he'd be asked back because he was way too honest. I've been critical of our window from the start. Too many runners and not enough technical intelligence on the pitch. Voltemada is what we've needed for a while. Very creative. Yeah, I would agree. Do you reckon you'll ever do any true crime stuff again, Steve? That's how I originally came across your stuff way back. The answer is no, James. And this is a football channel. We put it out to the vote on the platform, and it was a resounding stick to football. So we won't be doing any true crime stuff again. And that's it, really. We're left it down to the viewers. I think we go for Wissam and Larson. Voltemada will be brought in slowly and in a 10. And if we play 4-2-3-1, once he gets used to the Premier League, be interesting to see what happens. Great, thanks, Steve. Great to hear you're happy in life, mate. That's what counts. Thank you, Steve. Not just the story of the summer. They were trying to push Isak onto Arsenal all of last season. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, 100%. It was the book. I'll order it now, says Paul. Oh, yeah, talking about the signatures. Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah, it definitely wasn't the fanzine, mate, that was signed. I hope you continue your podcast from a selfish perspective. Best balanced opinions by fans on the panels. Steve, at the moment, I'm still enjoying it. And as long as I can, I will. It's as simple as that. As an actor, you can be sitting doing very little or getting the odd job here and the odd job there, but then something comes up where you're away for 2 or 3 months, and that's going to be difficult to do 7 a day. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But I'll always have time to do something. It may be a case if I get an acting job and I haven't had time to pre-record shows because I'm preparing for said acting job, that I might just be on once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week. But at the moment, that's not on the horizon. So let's just see where we go. From my perspective, yeah, I still enjoy it. You still enjoy it. So there's no reason to stop it. The Wolves striker is to replace Silva. That's what I was saying before. Maybe I don't know the name of the person. David's saying it's not Silva. So they've sold somebody this week, David. So they've definitely sold somebody this week. So from my perspective, I genuinely think that Larson is probably the least likely. 100%. I think Wissa is probably more likely. What do you think about the push to block Isak playing for Sweden after refusing to play for us? Who's doing that, Doug? I've not seen anything about that at all. I don't care what he does. I really, really don't. Which acting role would you love to do if you had the chance, Steve? Look, soaps are hard work, but I would like the opportunity to go into a soap opera. I think it would be good experience. So I think any kind of long-term character in a soap opera would be great for me. But I enjoy acting full stop. I enjoy stage. I've done 2 plays this year already. Which were great. 2 weeks rehearsal, 2 weeks performance, 2 weeks off, and then I did 2 weeks rehearsal, 2 weeks performance, 2 weeks off. Thoroughly enjoyed the experience of being back on stage again. I've had quite a few castings in the last 3 months, and I've got a couple of things out of that for the back end of the year. So I'm busy, which is good. It's all you can ask for as an actor, being busy. Owen's ankles collapsed the moment he touched the turf. Yeah, just a nightmare, wasn't it? Absolute nightmare. Steve is used to me having a pop at his vocal capabilities. Steve, would or could you get an interview with Jeff Stellan, supporter of in North East and the Tyne? Be interested to see how he is away from Sky. Jeff's a Hartlepool fan. He's good pals with Joe Allen. That could be one for Joe. I mean, Joe will be back on the channel at some point. Very busy at the moment, but I could maybe ask him to get Jeff on and maybe do something together. Yes, we have got a brilliant manager in Eddie. His values are there to see. Manchester United fans think they're taking Eddie from us. Don't even think he could save them. Nah, I mean, what a mess that is, isn't it? It's mental, that Tom. Absolutely mental. Watching his interview yesterday, he's just lost the plot. He really has. I love the fact our best signings are pretty much come out of the blue. I love surprises. Yeah, I think we all do. Talking about Michael Owen and his comments on live TV and what seemed like support for Isak's position, to me, he relished the opportunity to have a dig. Yeah, he has, but he's also been the victim of some pretty nasty comments from Newcastle fans. He doesn't owe us anything. We've had I've seen people having a right pop at him on social media. So if people are going to have a dig at him, don't be surprised if he has a dig back in his professional capacity. He's not a Newcastle fan. He's not from Newcastle. Let him get on with it. Yeah, I saw that list. Oasis rumoured to be at St James's Park next year. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that was a reliable list, but I tell you what, if they're at St James's Park, that'll be fantastic. It'll be oversubscribed anywhere that they go to. It'll be fantastic. David saw Queen and Night at the Opera 2 at the City Hall. James is a good gig, plus Marillion. I've seen James. Yeah, I saw them at Hardwick Live. Henry Hill and the Tune was a great night. Yeah, God almighty, I forgot we'd done that. That was Tyneside Cinema, Terry. We watched Goodfellas and then I interviewed him. And that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing to do. I made sure I had me back to the wall because there was a death threat on Henry Hill that night. Basically, there was an anonymous phone call saying he was going to get done over. But it was a wonderful opportunity to watch a film with the person that the film was about and then interview him about said film. I remember I think the opening question was, we've just watched the film with you, Henry. 95% of that. How much of that film is true? And he went 95% of it. So there you go. But yeah, fantastic. Guns N' Roses Gate said was, Kenny, I watched that on the hill. Terry, I didn't pay to go. I watched it on the hill. I watched Tina Turner on the hill as well, I think. Would you have Kobe Mainoo? He's a young lad, he's English, and for me, seems a great talent. Eddie would probably love to work with. I mean, Kobe Mainoo's an interesting one. You've got to say, would he get a game though? And he'd be thinking the same. He wants to get away and play. Is he going to be number one choice ahead of Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton? The answer is no. Although it's a nice idea, I just don't think it's possible at this moment in time. And I think until we go through the same processes we are currently going through with the back four, where the midfielders start to get older, I don't think we'll see such a dramatic change. I know you need a big squad, and rotation's a big part of being successful, but I'm not sure Mainoo's the right fit. And I'm not sure Man U would do business with us either. I really don't. Would I play a Bond villain? Yes, that would be good, but those kind of jobs only come, I guess, when you've established yourself on something else. If you've managed to maintain a level of consistency and appearances on various things, that's when that kind of job comes along. But never say never. Just started watching Atomic last night. Not bad. Yeah, that came up on my screen. I haven't watched it. If you could go on a soap, which would you choose? Corrie, EastEnders, or Emmerdale? It would be Coronation Street. I think Emmerdale had a more choice because there's been more Geordies in it, although Coronation Street is widening their horizons. They've had a Geordie on it recently, a good friend of mine playing the nurse, Libby Walker. She's been in 2 episodes now, and that looks fairly promising. Once you get a couple of episodes like that, if they like you, you're camera friendly, they might think about writing a story for you. And it looks fairly promising, so she's done quite well. The devil on my shoulder says Isak for Liverpool, plays for Sweden, then long-term injury. Oh dear, never mind. Dear me. Did you enjoy your recent poetry show, Stephen? Will you do another? The poetry performance I did was at Laurel's Theatre. It was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. To go and perform your poetry live is something that I never expected to do. I am going to do something again, where and when to be confirmed. But yes, I am going to go and do something again of that level. About the young idea, the Jam documentary by Bob Sweetin, 10 years anniversary. Have you seen it? It's very good. Yeah, and I mean, Bob's a good pal of mine, as you know. So yes, I think that that's well worth a watch for anybody. Bob's done so many great documentaries. He was part of the Beatles anthology, but he's worked with everybody from the Beatles to the Stones. So well worth watching that. Andy Townsend's talking on TalkSport, saying there should be rules to stop Isak. I'm not surprised. Brilliant movie, says Terry. Okay, it must be talking about Goodfellas, yeah. I've got to ask, I'm sure you've watched vids like us all. What do you think of the new lad? Yeah, he looks great, Ian. He does look great. He's somebody that Eddie can coach. He's somebody that Eddie will get a tune out of. And that's all we can ask for. Amaran has big issues. He needs help, bless him. He needs to lie down on a couch with a therapist or an Alex Ferguson. Man United is jinxed, isn't it? Since Ferguson left, it is jinxed. It's a poison chalice, and yes, they've won a few trophies, but that club is... It looks as if it's jinxed, and he's just lost the plot. He looks like he's been... He looks like an extra from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, sitting in there messing around with his board and not watching penalties, and then press conferences. He sounds like an absolute nutter, Alan. He really does. Leonard Skinner and Camel at the City Hall in the 70s. Interesting as well. Another gig you've been to. Miley needs game time too. Don't think Mainoo's right for us. Miley was obviously... You get the impression he was pushing for a move this summer, out on loan, get games, get experience. But he stepped in and he looked good. It's consistency for Miley. When he's had an opportunity, sometimes he hasn't taken it. Against Liverpool, he seemed okay. He's going to get an opportunity, you would think, today. But he's got to grab it with both hands. He's got to grab it with both hands. That's the problem. Seen Pink Floyd in Amsterdam, first event at the new stadium. Interesting, Terry. God, he's been about, folks. Do you have a preference for fantasy films, Lord of the Ring type films? Can I get away with them? Lord of the Rings radio play off Radio 4. I've got that, and that's fantastic. Really, really good, Gary. I really enjoyed the radio play. The films were too long for me. I mean, they're cinematically beautifully shot. But I'm more of a science fiction fan than a fantasy film fan. I love science fiction. I love the gangster genre, going back to, Angels with Dirty Faces and Jimmy Cagney, through to the likes of Goodfellas and Casino and The Irishman, Godfather and all that, of course. I like the very early stuff, the early Christopher Reeve Superman films. I love suspense. Like, I love the Hitchcock genre. I love Jaws is my favorite film of all time. I love Jaws and I love The Shining with Jack Nicholson. Those, I like Kubrick's films. But yeah, it's those are my preferences with films. Fantasy films, nah, not really for me. And Jeff's still going. PM Morland's Gong, Downwind Live, amazing. Great to hear regarding the poetry. Thank you, Roger. I would love to have seen Prince live, says Steve. Yeah, another legend who we went too soon, really. Funny little guy, him, wasn't he, Steve? Funny little guy. Best gig I worked on was Slade. It was crazy. I can imagine that would be a belter. I tell you what, looking at footage of both Voldemort reminds me of Supermac. Oh, interesting. He's a big lad, like he's like 6'6". It's as long as he can head a ball, yes, Langa's gonna have. It's gonna be it's gonna be an enjoyable task for him to, to put the ball in and watch the ball end up in the back of the net. Same as Gordon. Got to play to his strengths, but Alanga created a lot of the goals for Wood last year, and I think that's a massive positive. Isak, one of his frailties was heading the ball, so I think it's a positive for us that we've signed somebody like that. ESPN with Shaka saying Voldemort is better than Sesko. He doesn't do well in a struggling team. Good look at Man U, body lad. Yeah, Sesko. We've swerved it. We've swerved something there, haven't we? We really have. You'd love to think it was part of the plan by Newcastle as well. Jeff's got radio on tape cassette if you want to borrow. I've actually got something that still plays tape cassettes, but I've had a proper, over the last 6 months, I've had a proper sort out, mate. I've chucked lots of stuff away. I think when my mum passed away, that bore round how much crap I've saved over the years, and it was like, my mum just got rid as she moved on and she moved on and she moved on, and our final place, our final house was beautiful, but she didn't leave a great deal, and it was all part of the plan, I guess. And it's not been more, but I think it's been practical. When you pass away, you leave a load of stuff for other people to bin. Really, that's what you do. You see what, some people might say, oh God, is that all their life was worth, that little box? But I can see why people do it now, So I've got rid of a load of stuff which, people who are here when I'm long gone don't have to sort out. And I think it's actually therapeutic getting rid of stuff. But yeah, tape, cassettes, I don't think they're going to make a comeback. Vinyl has, of course. But yeah, should the transfer window close before the season begins in future? I don't like the uncertainty. John, I think the transfer window should be open all season long. I don't think we should have any transfer window that open and closes. Allow people to trade during the season, for me, is what I would say. Angels with Dirty Faces, Cagney, great film, Jeff. Great film. Blade Runner's my favourite, says Steve. It's not bad. To Kill a Mockingbird is a belter. Another good film. Kubrick fan. Gary's a big Kubrick fan. Paths of Glory. Oh, yes, good film. Two great films, Steve. I watched them a lot. The Jaws and The Shining. Yeah, those are films where you come in, if you've been on a night out, and if they're on, you end up staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning because Jaws is on or whatever, and it's crazy. Jaws is on, by the way, in Newcastle and Gateshead over the next week to celebrate the 50th anniversary. So if you get a chance and you want to go and watch it on the big screen, get yourself to one of those cinemas that's showing it. Well worth going to see on the big screen. Big Country at the Tube was class. Oh, was that with Stuart Adamson? And lots of people just talking music, which is great. It's what this show is all about. Best band I've seen was Elastic, says Steve. Which TV series are you watching at the minute? Ian, oh God, what am I watching at the moment? I've just watched The Jury on Channel 4. Which I found interesting. It's a bit of a reality show where they basically they go over an old case. They get in members of the public to sit as the jury and to see whether they get the same result as the jury who got it, which is on Channel 4. Just watched another documentary about White House Farm. I watch a lot of true crime documentaries still. TV stuff. Have I watched anything? I'm going to watch Andor because I do like sci-fi and I've got that to watch. There's also the new Star Trek, which somebody sent us a link to watch. I'm gonna have a dabble with that, but it's finding the time. But Andor is going to be my next challenge. I've just watched all of the, This City Is Ours. I've caught up with Kin. I've caught up with Mobland. I've watched all of those, so now it's time to get back into a bit of sci-fi. I think watching too much of a certain genre, you can get a bit sick of it, Blake 7 as well. I always watch that. The Blu-ray for Series 2 is coming out, so I'm gonna have that at Christmas to watch. And they've got a lot of extras on as well, which is great. We've got The Big Lad. Would you go for Kobe Mainoo on loan or to buy? I think it'll be a great move. John, not at the moment. Like I think I said before, I just think if we went for a midfielder, where's he going to play and how's he going to play? Because the midfield, I think, is stacked at the minute. Of course, if we got rid of, say, Joe Willock, but Mainoo's going to want to play, isn't he, if he's on loan? If he comes as a permanent deal, can we afford his wages, etc.? It's going to be interesting. David's got all of his tapes from recordings of Sight and Sound in concerts, Horden, Big Style. Yeah, I think a lot of men do. What's your favourite book of all time? It can be any genre. Oh, God. Favourite book? It's a good one, that, really. And I've got a lot of books. I've had a lot of books that I've read over the years, but is the one that I could say, oh, that was my favourite? Oh, I'd probably say there wasn't, I've enjoyed writing or putting together certain books. But have I got a favourite? I think the answer is no. And I think it's just so difficult to actually pigeonhole a book and say that is my favourite book. Obviously, I used to read a lot of true crime books. Born Fighter by Reg Cray was good. If I'm perfectly honest, that was probably one of the better Cray books. But there's a book called Crazy Days by Mickey Fawcett, and that's 95% accurate. Again, that's another one of those books that is 95% accurate. Once Upon a Time in America is a great film, George. Wonderful. If anybody hasn't watched it, give it a watch. Alien Earth. Yeah, I've seen adverts for that in Newcastle, Jeff. Do you have a private lift to your lair? No, Jeff. And I don't have piranhas in a pool beneath me living room either. The Shining, conspiracy film, Room 237, about faking the moon landings, among other subjects, is a brilliant watch, even if you don't believe any of it. Yeah, the conspiracy stuff is good. Not in the same league as the original, but going to see Jaws 3 in 3D. It was quite an experience in the 80s. Yeah. Bullseye. Jaws is your favourite film of all time. Music was good. Film, meh. All right, thank you. We watched The Jury. Very interesting how people had their decisions made from the start. Yeah, Life on Mars is great, Dougal. Quantum Leap, not watched it. I think that's American, isn't it? Ashes to Ashes is good. John Carpenter's remake of The Thing was class. All right, okay. Anything with John Wayne, Dances with Wolves, Back to the Future, it was just so different at the time. Weave World for me. Westworld's good, Les. Westworld, I don't know what Weave World is, but Westworld is good. Club just dropped the announcement teaser on X. Okay, well, I'll let you all go and watch that. Godfather 2, Godfather Jaws and 2 are two great books. I've not read the Jaws book. I should really watch it. 11 Angry Men. The Book of the Bible, Book of Life, the Bible. And what about this David Fratesi rumour? Terry, I think the Fratesi rumour came in when Newcastle thought they were going to be without Joe Linton and Tonali for a couple of months. But that's not the case now. Cactus Jack was a classic comedy western, also The Wanderer's amazing soundtrack. Nice multiple reference to David Bowie there. He sadly missed a fantastic musician. Thanks for watching. That's the hour up. I'm back twice tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning, with the Three's a Crowd team, the Northeast Football Podcast. If you haven't watched it, give it a try. It's a laugh with a Mackham and the Borough fan. And 5 o'clock tomorrow night, we're back with a dose of The Professionals with Stu and Mitch. And don't forget as well, if you haven't watched The Amigos, well worth a watch. Jimmy Terrell was on, who did the exhibition down at the Baltic, and he was very passionate, went down very well on the show last night. NUFC Matters fanzine, get it today or tomorrow. 4 issues, £25, all proceeds to Age UK North Tyneside dementia, and you just need to go to nufcmatters.co.uk to get your issues and make your donation. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to the moderators. See you twice tomorrow.